Hello everyone, welcome back. And in this video, we're going to be going over the first component that's actually going to go into the computer. That's a very important one. It's something called the XOR gate. I know that probably sounds really weird to you, but it's not as bad as it sounds. As you may guess from the name, it does behave a lot like an OR gate. In fact, there's only one difference, and that's something I'm going to show you. So first, I'm going to build you the OR gate. Actually, I'm going to move out a little bit. So, here's an OR gate. If I give an input here, and an input here, if I have no inputs, then I get no output. That's the nature of the OR gate. If I have one input, I have I have an output. If I have the other input, I have an output. But if I have both inputs, I have an output. And that's really great because it's an OR gate. But the XOR gate isn't quite the same, because when I have both inputs into an XOR gate, I don't have an output. And that's the only difference between an XOR gate and an OR gate. So, how do we do this? Well, first off, let's look at a single input OR gate. If we have no input, we have no output. If we have an input, we have an output. And you might say, hey, this is completely pointless. I can make that with a single wire. No input, no output, input, output. And, yeah, you're right. It's technically pointless to have this. But it offers us something really unique. It offers us the option of doing something with the inverse of whatever our input is. And that's, as it turns out, that's really critical to making an XOR gate work. And if I wanted to have a second input in here, that's not going to necessarily be the first input anymore. It could also be the second input. We need to keep the inverse of those separated. So I'm going to build a second OR gate and combine their outputs to create the function of the final OR gate. Well, the OR is going to go into the XOR, that is. So this works just like an OR gate. Flip 1, output, flip 2, output, flip both, output. So, how do we make this into an XOR gate? Well, there is only one difference between this and an OR gate. So a good place to start is to look at the desired output and the desired input in relation to that output. So first let's look at the desired output. In this output, if I flip through some other different inputs, there's only one thing that remains consistent. This output is only true if both these wires are powered. If even one is unpowered, then I get an output. So I'll only get no output if I have both wires on. So I'm going to have to somehow give power to both wires. My input condition for that to be true is I'm going to need both these on. And if I have both of these on, I want both these wires to be powered. So how on earth could I do this? Well, if I just keep flipping through and turn off the rain, I notice something else. And that is that the only condition where both of these torches are off is when both of these inputs are on. So, maybe I could somehow do something with the fact that the torches are off when both inputs are on. Maybe you can somehow use that to give power. So first, I need the power from the torch. The way I do this, place a block on top. Block is taking power from the torch, and put a block in the center with some wire on it. And since it's next to both of these blocks, it's taking power from both of them. So in theory, the only time this wire should be off is when both torches are off, which would be when both inputs are on. And that's true. So now, if this wire is off, I somehow need a torch to turn on that gives power to both of these. So, how on earth could I possibly make it so that when one output is off, when one input's on, I get an output's off. Now, if output's off, I get an input on. Any ideas? That's right, we do with the NOT gate. If the output's off, input's off, I get an output. If the input's on, I get no output, because it's giving us the inverse of whatever we send in. So, since we already have the block that's going to give the power, really all we need is a torch. And all we need now is to connect it to the wires, which are conveniently right next to it. So, theoretically, this should work just like an XOR gate. If I flip one, I get an output. If I flip the other, I get an output. Here's the moment of truth. If I flip both, no output. Congratulations, everyone. You've just built your first XOR gate. And that's neat and all. Another cool thing about the XOR gate, though, is that it's flexible. If I want to build one of the OR gates like this, and, just put a torch on the side. I want to build another OR gate that was, like, a little bit more normal. I could do this. I could take my inputs over here. So here are my inputs. I need to take the power from the torches, just like before. So I take power from the torches, and so here's the wire. And you might think I'm in trouble here because if I put a torch here, it can't reach that wire. But there's no thing that says I can't have two torches, as long as they're both connected to the same wire. So now if I connect these, then this should work just like an XOR gate. Flip one, output, flip one, output, flip both, no output. So we can make some weird looking XOR gates if we want. So now we understand the XOR gate. So why not take on a little bit of a challenge? Let's make an XOR gate that, including redstone and torches and everything else, is at most this long. And, to make it even more challenging, at most this high. It can be as wide as we want, but it can only be at most 2 by 2 that way. So how do we do this? First, let's just start by making OR gates and giving us a fair amount of space between them. And let's just build the OR gates. Except this leads us to a problem. If I place a torch here, this is on the third block. I don't want that. So I'm going to place a torch here and a torch here. And place redstone in the middle. And so that's going to be your output. I'm just going to take some wire out, just so it's easier to see. Now, so we conquered our first challenge, which is making the OR gate fit. Now our next challenge. How do we get the control wire? Because if I place a block here, well, that'll make it 3 blocks high. Oh yeah, also, so I can put the input wires here. It doesn't really do anything except give us input wires, but we can, and so how do we do this? One way, put more torches down, because I can do this now. And it really doesn't matter that these torches are on. They're going to just do the exact same thing as this. The only difference is these torches are powering redstone. That's effectively acting as the OR gate. And these torches are just sort of used for the control wire. There's nothing that says you can't use extra torches for that. So I put the control wire here. We come across our next problem. It's now powering this wire. We don't want that. So I'm going to put a block here, and now it's cut off. So, that's probably a little too long. That's nice. But how do we get power from this to these? Well, we've actually already solved this, because this block's next to this wire. So, and since it's next to the wire, this block's receiving power. And that means I can place torches on it, and they'll turn off. So, if this works, then we've successfully completed the challenge, because it's fitting in our credentials. So let's see, moment of truth. Flip 1, output. Flip 2, output. Flip both, no output. We've built an XOR gate in a 2 wide and 2 high space. So, that's the XOR gate. Thank you. I will see you in the next video.